one day people get, money, like people make business out of it. That's another thing. So if you want to start a podcast, you don't know how far it will go. It can go really far. It might not. If it doesn't, just keep doing it because you enjoy it and you're adding value. But if it does go far, you're able to make money or monetize it, then fantastic. So if you want to start it. If you want to start that business, that digital, whatever business, YouTube, podcast, just let this be a sign to you that you should start that endeavor you want to start. Okay? Hello. Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Life as a Sweet Podcast, the A&A. And as usual, I have
Amaka.
Welcome. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. So today's podcast is actually just a quick, how do I put it now? Just view how we feel about this podcast. We started this podcast actually a year ago, precisely about a year ago. We launched our first episode sometime in July.
Oh,
wait, we're in September already.
Yeah,
okay, so it's more than a
year. Yeah.
So today's episode, we actually want to talk about like why you should start a podcast if it's something you want to do. When we started this podcast, it was almost like we just sat around talking about it. She wanted to do YouTube, I wanted to do podcasts. So like, okay, let's merge it. We podcast these days, they go on YouTube as well. And then we can just discuss any topic. And yeah, it's been good. And it started like a joke. I remember our first episode.
What was our first episode? Okay, our salvation story.
Yeah. It was nice. And it was just one of many. And we've kept up with it. Every week we try to publish, an episode. It's been a long journey, right? So this episode basically is just to encourage you on why you should start a podcast or a YouTube or a business, whatever it is you want to do. Just go ahead and do it. It might be scary because honestly, even though we talked about it, but it was scary.
It was scary.
It was like scary. Yeah. I am someone who in the past, I would tell all my friends, like they had wonderful ideas that could talk because I'm not much of a talker. I'm an introvert, right? So I usually will tell people who I think, wow, this person will be a good YouTuber. You start a YouTube channel, start a podcast. I always had this way of push it, do it, right? And it's something I always know somewhere to do, but I was like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm qualified for it. Even though I love it, I love to listen to it. When I hear people do it or I watch their podcast, I'm like, wow, this is something I think I can do. But one part of me will be like, no, but you can't do it because you're not as eloquent, you're not as articulate. Well, we're like, what else? Whatever. Let's just do it. Do it. So just go ahead and pursue that dream. Just go ahead and start that podcast. Even if no one listens, even if no one watches, just start it because you're doing it for you. And on this, we'll just outline the ways this has helped us since we started it, how it's helped us in our own personal lives. So do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think for just to piggyback to your point, that it was really, really scary the first time we talked about it. And I remember then we then had to talk about, what do we need? The equipment, we need this, we need that. And then we had to figure out, how much we're putting into it, and they're going to buy the things that we need. So actually we just decided we're going to take action. We're not just going to think about it, talk about it, and then leave it there. We're going to actually take action. What do we need? Let's go get it and let us start.
Yeah,
so I
don't
think
overthink.
That was
we do overthink. I think we give ourselves target. We're like, okay, we're starting July. Let's do it. And then I remember that business plan. We were like, let's talk about the title, the name of the podcast, what we want to talk about, all of those. So we just decided on a weekend, and then we went to buy. We bought the stand, we bought the microphone.
Yeah,
cameras are expensive. I never knew how expensive cameras were. So wait, we have iPhones. Let's use an iPhone. And then we just started. It's been a long journey since then. Let me just go straight to what this starting a podcast has done for us. For me personally, I think it has given me a sense of purpose. I mean, it's not the purpose for my life. They are two different things, but what I mean is that it has given me a sense of being. I don't want to use the word being. Being is not the right thing, but just knowing I can contribute in another way. So that I can do something that is different than my 9-to-5 job, because 9-to-5 job can be a drag sometimes. It can be tiring, it can be stressful, it can be demanding, it can be sometimes you're like, oh, what is this? Why again did I? But with this job, with this podcasting, it kind of gave me like an escape from my regular
outlet,
life,
yeah.
an escape, an outlet, to be able to explore, to feel like in control, because this is our podcast, my podcast, and I can call the shots. I don't need my manager to approve. I don't need to take permission from anyone. We do not want it to be done. So it's kind of giving me that sense of, yes, I am doing something beneficial and useful. Someone can watch our episode. I mean, people learn you'll be surprised at what can change someone's life.
Right.
So someone can watch it and get inspired. So for that sake, I think it's been worth starting this podcast. Yeah. What about you?
I think back to your purpose, I think it's also like it's something that also gives me joy. Like you talk about like how it has helped you to like you will be able to like call the shots, right? For me too, it's helpful because I can talk about what I want to talk about, right? I can talk about the topics that I enjoy talking about. And I don't have to feel that pressure, even though, yes, there's that outward pressure of like views, but being able to go to have an outlet where you can talk about what you want to talk about, what you enjoy to talk about, or what you have experienced in and you want to shed more light on. I think that's very fulfilling. I think it's rewarding also when you see like the comments or you see someone and it's like, oh, I really gained something. And by the way, with podcast and YouTube, people will comment on your channel, but most people will not even comment on your channel. They'll tell you in person.
Yeah.
And they'll say that thing you're doing is going well. I've learned one or two from that. So I've had a couple of times where I had to tell Zuki, oh, this person reached out to me and was like, oh, that's your podcast, that your thing you're doing is really inspirational. That's another thing we need. It inspires people. People don't necessarily have to comment on your page for you to. That's why the views can be deceiving, because if you're not seeing the views, if you're not seeing the comments that actually say, oh, I found your video very inspirational, automatically you're thinking, oh, nobody's watching. But that's not true. Some people don't come on social media to comment. They watch you and they go at the back and send you a text and be like, well, you're doing a good job. But they see you in person and they're like, that your podcast. Oh, that makes sense. Or they use a phrase that you've used in your podcast and you know that they watched your podcast.
See?
I tell you that for you. So if you're doing that, I already know you're watching. To the end of this, and basically it's just an encouragement that views are important, right? That's why you're doing, YouTube wants you to have views, but much more behind why did you start in the first place? What's your purpose, right? What made you go into it? That's what will keep you when you're not even getting the views. And also to recognize that people get inspired in different ways. They don't necessarily come on your comment section. Even when I was not away for a while, some people reached out to me. I know Ziki was saying that, but even to me, like personally, I'll be like, now your podcast, you're not doing it again. What happened? I was like, no, it's not that I'm not doing it again. I'm coming back. Don't worry, I'm coming. But basically, people are watching. They don't necessarily have to comment. So don't let the views discourage you, or don't let the no comments discourage you. People have different ways of like gaining what they want and sticking with it. Yeah.
So I heard the story of some guy, I don't remember his name, he's a relationship coach. He said he's a relationship coach.
Did you say ghost or coach?
I said coach. The relationship coach, right? He said when he started his was it YouTube or podcast, he used to share relationship nuggets and advice, and like it was such a drag because no one would watch. And I'm telling you, if you put a lot of maybe efforts, it can be discouraging.
Yes,
just like Amaka is saying.
No, you can.
Another thing, the thing is, let me not digress. Let me finish this guy's story. So he said he just kept on doing it, and guess what? He said one day, and this person is in the, I wouldn't say is an obscure person. Is someone out there, like maybe someone in the entertainment industry, but was still trying to find his way. You know how a lot of people go for auditions, they go for things that, So he said one day he got a funny email from his manager or his, these people.
At work.
Yeah. No, not his like his, these people in entertainment, they have
their own manager.
They have their own managers that help them look for
gigs.
Told him that Oprah wanted to talk to him.
Sorry. Out of
He said, like, can you rewind again? Are there many? How many operas are there? I mean, Oprah is Oprah, right? He said Oprah that Oprah stumbled on his video and watched it and liked what he was doing. He was shocked. He was like, wow.
But Oprah never commented on the page.
He didn't get 1 million views. He only got like few couple views. One of those views mattered. So all you need is one view that mattered. It might not even be an Oprah kind of person. It might just be someone that was at the verge of giving up. And what you said inspired them. It is good enough to start. I did one of those interview style episodes I did with my Mia Hanks, who didn't come on camera. She was in an abusive narcissistic relationship, and her story was so gripping. And there was a comment someone left there that really touched. She was like, "This is exactly what I'm facing." Like, I imagine for that person that it was almost, you feel seen, right? Just something you're going through, you feel like you're alone in the world, and someone else is sharing their experience. It kind of validates you and makes you feel, better and helps you. So, to your point, yes, just do it because of, even if no one is, it's easier said than done. So it takes me to my next point, which is persistence and diligence. That's one thing this has taught me, because in the past, anyway, let me not say in the past, because I think I'm a type A person. When I start something, I will keep doing, like, I don't know how to do in between. I'm either to the extreme. So if I start something, I have to do it to the end. So, but one thing I think this has taught me is just persistence and diligence, because there are lots of time when, especially in the early days when I used to edit. Now we have someone, my nephew, editing for us. I'm not an editor, a video person. I would have gone to learn Da Vinci Code. I've used all the editing skills where you are zooming in and zooming out, doing all of those rigmarole. Sometimes it can take me up to 18 hours editing a video, and then you post it, and then you get 2 views. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what is this? Is this even worth it? Like, it can really get discouraging, but it has taught me to just keep going, pushing. And it's not just for this thing. It's helping me in other area of my life. That's the thing. The learnings you get, because you're developing muscles that will help you not just for this YouTube or podcast life, but in every other area of your life. So if things are not going well, if things are looking bleak, if you write an exam and you fail, go do it again. If you get into a relationship and it fails, don't block your heart. Don't put up walls. Go back again. It's just, these are things, and it's work in progress for me. I'm just learning. It's just building. Even in prayers, Amaka, in prayers, there are times when I'm praying for something and I'm like, it doesn't look like God is hearing this thing, or I'm just tired. Let me just move on to other things, right? But this has actually taught me, like, you just have to persist, even if it seems like nothing is shaking. And you know what? So with this podcast now, right, I feel like nothing is shaking, but like I told you, someone reached out and said, oh, I love you guys' podcast and all that. Do you want to sign up to my website? And I connect guests to podcasters. I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not? I didn't even go singing for it, but it came. I was like, okay, someone is actually watching. And so that's how all of this interview came. So yeah, I spoke for too long. Sorry, Amaka.
No, that's totally
What's
fine.
your point?
No, I think you're right. I think for me, it's always like, we always think nobody's watching, but people are watching. People are watching. If I tell you one thing, people are watching. People are also looking for purpose, like you are doing your own purpose. So they're like, oh, this person is doing something with their life. Me too. I'm inspired by that. Let me go maybe find what I can do with my own life too, as well too. And I think that's really helpful. And also for me, I think personally, having a podcast or just coming here to talk about topics it's also like an outlet to share my own experience, or to teach whatever I feel, not really teach, but like talk about the things that has worked for me too. And that way, it actually reinforces whatever knowledge that I have for myself, because that way, when you share with others, your cup is also going to get full, because you're actually reinforcing the knowledge that you have. So the podcast gives me a way to do that. Also, talking about things also kind of sharpens your communication skills, because you will be forced to actually research. When you're trying to talk about a topic, you're forced to like research about that topic, come up with like talking points, how best to present that information in a way that people understand it, or in a way that it actually evokes interaction or engagement. So it actually sharpens your communication skills. The more it's basically like practice makes perfect, right? The more you do it, the better you get at it, basically.
Yeah, that's true. That's completely true. Even for me as well, my communication skills is improved, and I'm still learning.
We're still
Sometimes I
learning
listen to some
too.
podcasts. I'm like, wow, how did you say that? Like, I'm like, and I take tips and I listen these days. I'm like, actually, as we're going into this interview style, right? I'm like, how do I ask that question? How do I phrase it? How do I identify? So yeah, definitely. In fact, there was one of the podcasts I did recently with one of those interviews. I came out feeling smarter. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like, and then I went into work the next day, even for my meetings, I felt like I sounded more, confident and more articulate. I was like, yes, yes, yes. So another thing I think is helped me with is empathy and vulnerability. I mean, you cannot be doing a podcast. That's why, like, I'm a private person and I think you are. So, like, we're just private people. And that's why, for me, I would never conceive the idea of doing a vlog, like where you're vlogging your daily life, right? But with a podcast, even though you are here sharing your opinion, you're not really vlogging about your life. I don't know if it makes sense. You're just focused on a topic or whatever it is you want to talk about. And I think it's a good opportunity. It gives me the opportunity to be able to share my opinions, like you said, and also to be vulnerable. There are times when I've shared things, that I feel like, wow, okay, because vulnerability is power, right? So when you share what you're struggling with or what you're dealing with, it also helps whoever is listening. You don't know who they are. And it also helps you lift up that weight, like your burden. When people come here for interviews, like when we interview them and they share, like they go to the depth of their vulnerability. I'm like, oh wow. And it evokes a lot of empathy as well. It's helped me build empathy to understand, like, wow, people had really tough, childhood. I think sometimes you might think that where you're coming from is bad, it's really tough, but people have been through tougher. So it kind of helps you connect with people, connect with their stories, and
yeah. And then I think for me, the stories too, they also, in as much as they bring empathy and all that, like you can relate to that person. And then you look back at your own life and you're like, oh, what I'm grateful for, not in a proud manner, but like you're just grateful, like that. Oh, people are really going through a lot. Yes, I've had my own shares of like struggles or things that I've gone through, but like I'm grateful for where I've come, right? It also opens your eyes to see, because it's very easy. You can live in your own bubble of world and feel like, oh, it's just me. Everything is happening to me. Why me? But when you come out and you're like, okay, let's listen to another person. Let's listen to another person's story, and you're actually trying to be helpful and lend a helping hand, then you can see the world is much more bigger than your bubble.
Yeah, honestly, that's it. And many much more. And of course, with that, we're hoping to one day get money, like people make business out of it. That's another thing. So if you want to start a podcast, you don't know how far it will go. It can go really far. It might not. It doesn't. Just keep doing it because you enjoy it and you're adding value. But if it does go far, you're able to make money or monetize it, then fantastic. You're using one bird to kill two stones. You're making money, you're making impact. And we can't wait for the time when we'll start making money and start getting sponsorships and all that. I'm putting it out there in the world, putting it out there. Sponsorship.
Yeah, specially to come.
Riverside, where you see you, so yes.
Riverside.
Yes. So, but anyway, yeah, we hope we've inspired you that you should do this if it's something you want to do. You want to start. I mean, look at us, we're two African Nigerian ladies, I think for me, I'm always worried about my accent.
Look at always an accent.
It's like, no, this is where we grew up in Nigeria. This is how we sound. But yeah, I had to.
But you can get. Oh, I heard of something. No, I talk about voice codes. There's another one you can get. Like they'll teach you the phonetics.
Modification. Yeah,
phonetics, like a coach that'll teach you the phonetics.
Accent modification class.
Yeah, you can.
I actually attended a few.
Accent modification. Okay.
Yeah, in my work they do the accent modification. Yeah, but I didn't. I didn't do it for long. Maybe I should go. I should go and try it.
Oh no.
But this accent is stubborn. Anything as you feel.
I'm just curious. So when you do the class, you're expected to speak like an American.
So you take not just one class now.
Yeah.
You a couple of, but of course you won't sound like them. You still have, maybe to a fellow Nigerian, you might sound like you're speaking to them, but for an American, they know that you still have that accent.
Yeah.
And it's up to, like the one class I attended, when the man was saying, I don't even remember what he was saying pronounced. I was pronouncing it. The guy said I still wasn't doing it right. So I don't know. So
you have to like
my
change your tongue.
the thing come hard. So those were some of the limitations I had. Then I was like, how can I now stand and now be speaking in this my Nigerian accent? But really, that I have like don't mind. Yeah, so I just feel like being in America. Well, that is beside the point. Whatever, however you sound, even if it's pidgin English or whatever,
Yeah.
just speak it and and
Because now
definitely
people are
connect
even
with
making
someone.
money with like PG. You used to see just one person, the whole videos they've had is just in PG. And you're wondering, how do people
YouTube is not
understand it,
Yeah,
right?
YouTube is global.
They have their audience.
That's what I'm saying.
Their
YouTube is
audience.
global. And you know what? I listen to a lot of Kenyan podcasts. Kenyan people have fantastic podcasts. And in some of their podcasts, they'll be speaking their Kenyan language.
Really?
In Swahili, but they have subtitles.
Okay.
So I still watch, even though I don't hear the language. So yeah, honestly. And even in sometimes our video, when you look at the analytics, some people enable subtitles. I've seen Portuguese subtitle, German subtitle on our videos. So it shows you that people from even other places watch. Yeah.
So there's no
excuse.
There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. So if you want to start it. If you want to start that business, that digital, whatever business, YouTube, podcast, just let this be a sign to you that you should start that endeavor you want to start. Okay?
All right.
Thank you so much for
Feel free to share your experience with us.
Yes.
Like if you start to make the big money or you're doing, you're getting a lot of like comments, like you're impacted my life. Let us know and
Yep. Thank you so much for all your support. We appreciate you. Thank you, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Bye. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Thank you.